The descriptions throughout Revelation of the bulk of humanity at that future time indicate, as we have pointed out before, that mankind, during those fateful days, will be more hardened and more negative to the truth of the Word than ever before in human history, meaning that Satan's progress will be as much a result as an original cause of the evil and apostasy that will obtain during the Great Tribulation. In part for this reason, the changing of times and laws will go well beyond the religious persecution with which this characteristic of the last days is linked in Daniel 7:25. The phrase times and law refers to the alteration by Antichrist of customary practices and legal statutes respectively. In his attempt to homogenize humanity, the beast will make every effort to neutralize both specifically statutory and more general norms of customary behavior, for example, morality. His purpose will be to cause every human being to break with the traditions of the past, insofar as that can be achieved, in the same manner that cults strive to sever all of their victims' prior associations, the better to control them and command their loyalty. As in the French Revolution, we may expect some of these changes to be only mildly wrenching and awkward in their implementation, like the decimal system, which is workable in some arenas for all its many faults. For example, many things are more normally and naturally divisible by 2 or 3 or 12, while feet and pounds are very needful and workable divisions for which the metric system has no suitable replacements. Other attempts are likely to be both more onerous and more unworkable. Compare the abolition of Sunday as a day of rest during the French Revolution, which soon resulted in draft animals dropping dead all over France. But unlike earlier examples, during the Great Tribulation, the population of the earth will enjoy no respite from any of Antichrist's oppressive decrees until the return of Jesus Christ. We may also anticipate in this respect, given Antichrist's adeptness at co-opting others, Daniel 11:24 and 39, that the biblical parallel we saw in the last installment of this series between the beast and the Seleucid king Antiochus Epiphanes will apply to some extent to Antichrist's methodology in this area as well. Antiochus Epiphanes, in addition to the prescriptive elements of his regime, also did much to make the inhabitants of his realm feel part of one nation despite their disparate ethnic backgrounds. He did so by aggressively spreading Greek culture and institutions throughout his kingdom, as well as by being very generous with his favors towards those who enthusiastically and wholeheartedly adopted this policy of cultural homogenization. Antiochus' liberal use of Greek theaters and performance art, Greek military training institutions, specifically the ephebate, Greek coinage and economic standards, and Greek athletics, establishing gymnasiums and palaestras throughout his realm, gave his supporters, likewise organized into Hellenic senates and assemblies, both the tangible means of expressing their devotion to this policy as well as an incentive to do so. At the same time, these new institutions became veritable litmus tests for all those who were reluctant to give up or compromise their traditions in favor of the Greek way, a conflict most clearly seen in Israel prior to and during Antiochus's persecution and the Maccabean revolt. History provides other examples of ruling elites co-opting useful members of indigenous, conquered societies by demanding allegiance to a common cultural norm, for example, the Roman Empire, the Goths, the British Empire, and, in their own especially twisted ways, the Nazis and Communists. But it is likely that the degree of allegiance and the intrusiveness of the changes demanded by Antichrist's party will be beyond anything yet witnessed. In all this, the pattern set in the beast's assimilation of the seven-kingdom empire of revived Rome will provide the model. We cannot say for certain, but it is possible and perhaps probable that the essential core of culture at the heart of this program of homogenization will be that of Babylon, and we can already see the spread of American culture in many of its more dubious aspects around the world today. If so, we may possibly see in the prophesied purification of human language that will be a part of the millennial blessings of the kingdom of the Messiah, a divine reversal of Antichrist's attempt to impose a single tongue upon all the inhabitants of the earth as well, Zephaniah 3:9. Finally, the attempt on Antichrist's part to make the union of peoples within the seven kingdoms as close as possible is certainly apparent in Daniel's prophecy of the great statue, Daniel 2:39 through 43. In that passage, we see beyond any question an attempt to accelerate the process of homogenization through intermarriage. Compare the efforts of Alexander the Great in this regard, and it certainly stands to reason that this pattern will be applied to the entire world during the Great Tribulation. Coupled with his efforts in regard to social institutions, this attempt to join the entire world together in the seed of man, Daniel 2:43, will be designed to accelerate the breaking down of cultural and social as well as of ethnic and nationalistic distinctions and political establishments, the better to further Satan's ultimate plan of eliminating any opportunity or place for faith by making the practice of following God stand out in stark relief against an otherwise undifferentiated and backdrop of satanic allegiance. Economic exploitation, seal number 3. And through the same seductive methods, he will enter the strongest provinces, that is, the 7 nations, of the empire, that is, revived Rome, and will do what neither his fathers nor their fathers have done. He will distribute plunder, spoils, and riches to his followers, and will afterwards plot against the remaining powers, that is, the 3 sub-coalitions of the Southern Alliance, but will wait for an opportune time. Daniel 11:24. He, Antichrist, will treat with conspiratorial gatherings in the preeminent powers, that is, nations of military and monetary strength, with the help of his foreign god, that is, the devil, whom he will greatly honor, and he will put these individuals in charge of the majority populations, and will also distribute territories to them as a reward. Daniel 11:39. In company with the description of the 3rd horseman in Revelation 6:5 and 6, and the description of the mark of the beast and its economic consequences in Revelation 13:11 through 8. These verses give us a taste of how Antichrist will administer his realm worldwide in terms of economics. From all these passages, and indeed from what we know about the beast generally, it seems clear that the economic system that will obtain during the Great Tribulation will be merely one of gross exploitation, designed only to supply the military needs of Antichrist's kingdom, to enrich his supporters, and to reduce everyone else to such a state of subsistent survival that the means of revolt will not lie readily at hand. The privileged Babylon will constitute an exception to this rule, Habakkuk 1:11 and 1:16 and 17. But this very fact will play no small role in the growing jealousy that will eventually contribute to her destruction, Revelation 17:15 through 18.